Okay, I just want to do a couple review items from yesterday and then we're going to jump into it. I do want to do two demos today, so we got lots to do. Hopefully, we have enough time. One thing I just wanted to share with you very quickly is this. So last night I asked you to do your own MOS worksheet. I gave you a generic one about smoking, but I just wanted to give you my personal one because I think it's more interesting when you see like what I did for my niche work. So mine was end of narcissistic abuse. That's still my niche that I do with clients. Obviously now I'm a trainer, so it's a bit different. But this is the MOS that I started with, right? So person comes to you with narcissistic abuse and what they want is to not feel caught in that, to not feel, damaged anymore, to have freedom to make their own choices, to leave this person, whatever. These are like the top line asks, right? But then comes the MOS under it, which is the list that I just published on the screen here. Your health will improve. This is a huge benefit. You're not going to feel so much tax on your body. You're going to sleep better. You're going to save money. This was huge for me when I realized I could go to hypnosis instead of armchair therapy. I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. I was like, this is a no-brainer because I just don't have the time. I just have two little kids. I got to be there with them. I don't have time to sit on somebody's couch. So the money saved is huge. The time saved is huge. Your relationships will heal, like potentially you're in a relationship right now or want to be. Your heart will heal. You will have new friends. You will get better at making friendships and relationships. You're going to finally claim some of your self-worth or all of it and be proud of yourself. You're going to become a role model. That's motivation. You're going to take control of your healing. That's motivation. You're going to have more control in other parts of your life. All of your addictions are going to be addressed. Addiction is very interesting. I very often have people come for depression, this and that. And then 3 months later, they're like, and I quit my addiction. Well, yes, of course you did, because your mind is healing. Joy, your fun will return. Your children will possibly, hopefully, have less money and time to spend in their therapy when they're teenagers and grown-ups. You will experience self-control. And this can go on and on. This is what's happening in the discovery call, even if not explicitly. Even if I'm not like, okay, here's the list of 12 things that are going to happen, because that's boring. But I'm going to share them on some level through my education, through my conversation with them. They're going to present me their objection, whatever. I'm going to say back to them what's possible. So that's part of that conversational, relaxed version of having the discovery call, which, by the way, I have one on the 21st. You guys can come if you want to see it. I'm going to teach it tomorrow as well, but I'll actually do a demo of one that later time. So MOS is something you need to know so that you can use this motivational thing more flexibly. Does that make sense to you? So what will happen on a discovery call is the client will say, but I can't get over that. Everyone has tried it, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to say, well, I can think of somebody who I had very similar to you. And not only did she get over it, but also she got a new job and she met someone on a dating app that made her happy. And she started going to the gym. And that's what happened to her. You see how that's like a chatty, conversational way of saying, but also you haven't realized what's possible for you? If I don't have my MOS list in my head, it's not that easy for me to just say that on the call. So you have to be super familiar with it so that when you get into that conversational part of the discovery call, which is not a robotic sales call, let's try to really get out of that thinking. It's much more casual than that. Then you know exactly how you're going to say it. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. I want to just show this again as a review of yesterday. Craig, I don't think you were here yesterday, so maybe this is not so familiar to you. But anyway, for everyone who is listening, this is very important, okay? Because what we have here is the problem, the solutions, and this is karma, right? Like whatever you want to call it. You don't believe in karma, that's fine, but it's something. It's what we come to the world with, our identity, our predisposition, then plus our circumstances, whatever. So our problem always comes with like the solution implied, right? That's how life is. You could spend your whole life trying to get these solutions. Some people do. Some people, live to 70, 80, 90, and they're approaching this. Like, I think my dad was a good example, actually. He never did formal therapy, but he had rage, he had problems. But as he aged, he became more spiritual, he became more relaxed. These solutions approached him, right? But had he had intervention, it could have been a lot faster and probably less painful. That's something I didn't say yesterday that I just wanted to remind you of is like, this is just the natural disposition of being alive. Like, you have a problem, there is a solution out there. How fast and how easy you find it, that's where the rub is. You want to pay $1,500 to speed it up. That's not a stupid idea because then these can get proximate to you faster, right? So in real life, this could take a month, a year, 10 years, fucking 50 years. But in a session, this can be like 12 minutes, 48 minutes, and maybe like 4 hours. See what I'm saying? Like these become like pills that you can take instead of out here in the distance. How do I fucking find them? It's impossible. So this is a very important slide to just remind you that part of what we're charging for is the acceleration of a natural process. And that's a very reasonable thing to collect money for. Like, I'm a catalyst. I can make this happen for you now. Is it worth the money? Yes, because you're going to save that money. So you don't need to think of it as like, oh, I'm here as a spiritual director and I have to help people with their emotional, blah, 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 blah. Like you can just think of it as like, I'm making things happen faster than it would have been otherwise. What's the price of that? So the speed part of this is super important. Does that make sense? This is going to happen whether a person wants to or not, whether it takes them lifetimes or one lifetime or a decade or however long. But that's how I got into hypnosis. I was just tired of waiting. I was like, I've been to therapy enough. Someone do something quicker. There's nothing wrong with selling that, the speed. Okay, one more thing I want to say about the sessions overall is I think yesterday we did not really go over how important the processing is. Okay, so a lot of you ask me questions about like, how do we get the transformation right now? Like, how do I make it happen on the call? But I just want to remind you, right, exactly, Jody. I just want to remind you that the effect of hypnosis is long term, even a lifetime long, even maybe many lifetimes long, I'm not sure. But it's definitely a domino process, right? So it's like you create those first few dominoes falling, and the rest will fall however they may, and it might take a really long time. But the point of the story is the client has to live with the conversation. They have to go home and live with everything that they said to you and everything they didn't say and everything you said back. That's the effect. So I have full faith in that, that if I ask enough provocative things and if I put enough in perspective and if I give enough dimensions, that no matter if I access their transformative potential immediately, it doesn't matter because I've covered enough things that they have no choice but to process that. So I'm not worried about like, are you going to quit after this call or are you going to quit in the next week? Because what I know deep down is once they've really gathered themselves and come to terms with who they are, they will have to quit eventually. Or they have to live with themselves without quitting with the full knowledge that that's what they've chosen, and that's okay too. But it's a lot different than, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I can't. I'm an addict. I'm stuck here forever. So have faith that if you do your job completely and you leave no stone unturned and you ask all the things that you need to ask and you follow the clients every single step, that once you've tired them out, that's enough. That's a critical mass of self-reflection that will take them into this transformation. So it's not a matter of, oh, I need to use the hypnosis to like activate that change. That's what happens when you're good and fast and have practiced a lot. But that's not really the point. The point is, did I say enough? Did I ask the right thing such that when they go home, there's no option but to hear my voice reminding them, well, like for example, the rage case. Well, how does your child feel right now that you're screaming at her? Like, she's just 2 years old. She's just trying to like function. Well, if I ask that enough times in enough ways, then when she goes home and she's doing it, my voice is immediately there. My voice will go with you. That's from Erickson, right? That's enough. I don't have to worry about everything else. That's processing. So I have a lot of trust in that. I have ultimate trust in that. I just wanted to remind you of that. Okay, so we're back to motivational questioning. One thing I want to say about this is these casual questions can go places that the more direct questions can't always go. Why? Because when we're aggressive towards the clients or when we're trying to help them with their problem, they're guarded. When we're just saying, well, how was your badminton practice? They're not realizing that their problem is right behind that. So the casualness gives us a lot of color where the problem solving is more black and white. So I want to remind you of these conversational ratifiers. What is a ratifier? Just means I'm further ratifying what I'm doing. Ratification is like confirming or encouraging. So one way that I'm encouraging the client to use their subconscious mind more and more is to just chill out. Like I said about Gilles when he showed up in his hat and sweatshirt, like just dressing a certain way, just having a certain attitude and a certain look already and a certain voice already detaches you from the stigma of therapy. So this is a ratifier. This is not just like an instruction. This is a way to tell the client, this is affirmative. I'm affirming that we're doing this and it's going to be comfortable. The non-judgment is the same. Anything that they say to you, whether it's political, whether it's, I want to stay with my narcissistic husband, I don't care if I'm getting abused, all of those things are irrelevant to me because it's so important that the client do what they want. So this is a ratification when I allow them to claim their truth. It doesn't mean I like it. It doesn't mean I agree. It doesn't mean that every voice in my head isn't screaming at me to oppose that. It's just that my job is to ratify them, not to challenge them. It's funny because it sounds like our job is to challenge them, but not that way. So we lower resistance by being non-judgmental. Extending unconscious moments is ratification. Extending unconscious moments with motivation is even more ratification because we're confirming to the client their identity and the possibility for their identity. The Columbo approach, like, tell me more, what do you mean by that, is further ratifying because it's telling the client to re-explain something as though they know more than you do, which they do. That's very important to always be affirming that they know what's right about them. You guys all know that Erickson like was, handicapped and had issues, but part of what's funny about the later part of his career is he becomes less and less comprehensible, but it's working for him. Like it's working for him that you can hardly understand him sometimes. That's kind of Columbo. People are like, individual, and he's like, higher or whatever. And they're like, individual, he's like, higher. And it creates this weird confusion though, where he's having the client correct him. That creates this very important power distribution where the client knows more. Hypnotic monologue and suggestion is also ratification that you heard what the client said. You just feed it back to them. So these are not just tips or tools, they're confirmations to the client.